Hey guys, this is Arun,
And this is Abby.
and welcome back to a brand new episode of Fill Your Pockets. Today's episode is August 12th. It's a Thursday, so hopefully we can finish the week strong. Yesterday, quick recap of yesterday, we had one play. We had the Cincinnati Reds taking on the Atlanta Braves. We did a straight money line with the Cincinnati Reds. They were down 0-5. Things weren't looking too good. Uh, then they eventually came back, tied up the game. And then the game went into extra innings, and they ended up losing by 2 runs. All in all, great game. Even if you're a fan of baseball, it was a fun game to watch. But we did lose our play yesterday. Abhishek, do you know what our season record is? I think we're 13
13 and 10.
and 10,
13 and 10.
13 and 10,
Yeah.
still above 500. So hopefully we could um, get to 14 or more than that today. So Abhishek, do you want to quickly go over this game yesterday? I know it was a tough loss for us yesterday. The Reds, they're hot, but they ended up losing yesterday. So what's your thoughts on the game yesterday?
That's the one thing about baseball, Arun, like in basketball or tennis or football, you can
Hmm.
try harder and make a comeback or something. But in baseball, that's very difficult because you trying harder is not going to make that much of a difference. And
Hmm.
that's what we saw yesterday. Man, Joey Votto. If people don't know who he is, first of all, even if you're not if you're a casual fan, this guy is the most longest tenured Cincinnati Red. He's 37 years old. Man does not look like he's 37. He single-handedly yesterday got them back in the game. I know, Arun, you were watching,
Hmm.
and he single-handedly scored every single run for them, basically. And ninth inning, 1 out, man just mashed that home run off Will Smith. Yeah, Will Smith's his name. And tied it up, and I'm like, here we go. And at that point, I'm like, yo, 5-0, come back. 5-5. Wade Miley struggled. The bullpen came in. They were fantastic for the Reds. And I'm like, you know what? They're gonna do it. They're gonna do this. They're gonna come back. They gotta get this win. They need this win. They need this win badly because the Brewers are hot again, and
Yep.
they're chasing the Padres in the wild card. They gotta win these games. There's less than 6 weeks left in the regular season. You gotta win these games. You just lost two straight. You can't afford to lose three straight because every win counts, every loss counts. And an OT, listen, the bullpen, it just got to the point where their pitcher gave it up and the Braves were able to survive. It was 6-5. They took the lead at one point. But Lucas Sims, I have no idea why David Bell, the manager for the Reds, put him in. I'm not going to act like I can do his job. I'm not pretending to be that type of person here. But this guy just came back from the injured list. I have no idea why they put him in that type of situation. If it were me, I would have put Michael Givens back in the game for another inning. He didn't pitch that many pitches previously. He had 12 pitches, I think, in the 10th inning. I would have put him back out there because every win counts. And unfortunately, he didn't choose to do that, and they lost. Albies 3-run homer and 6-8 final score. There's no what's the word I'm looking for here? There's no moral victories. We were wrong. You accept the loss, you move on, and that's why we're here today.
Yeah, that's why we're here today because we're planning on bouncing back today, right, Abhishek? So
Yes, sir.
yeah, so we have a good game of slates on tonight. For this episode, we're gonna be previewing 3 games. The first game of the night or the day, it's an early game, 2:20 Eastern time game. We have the Milwaukee Brewers taking on the Chicago Cubs once again. Yesterday they played, and the Brewers scored 7 runs in the first inning. So right now the Brewers been killing the Chicago Cubs, 12-3 the season series. Right now, the odds for the Brewers are -225. They opened up at -195, and the Chicago Cubs are the underdogs, sitting at +180. Abhishek, first game of the day, Brewers versus Cubs. Who you got?
All right. Remember, you gotta stay tuned for IG because that's where we post official picks. This is only meant to be a preview,
Yep.
and this is a perfect example of a game we were trying to preview because on paper, it looks like a mismatch, you'd say, because Brewers at Cubs. Listen, the Brewers have dogged them 3-0 so far in the series, in this recent series that they've got going on. Yesterday, Corbin Burns was phenomenal. Complete game, shut out, 10-0. So in hindsight, you'd be like, yo, there's no way the Brewers, you can go against them. Well, I'm not saying you can go against them, but I'm saying you don't have to take them because this pitching matchup is pretty damn even. Woodruff versus Hendricks. Hendricks, I feel bad for the guy. He's like 30-plus years old. He's the best player that the Cubs have now. I thought they should trade him because, like, let the guy go somewhere and win because the Cubs are not going to win anytime soon. He is their best pitcher. He may be their best player as of this moment. Brewers, Woodruff, he's one of the three horsemen, if you want to call them, pitching horsemen. Him, Peralta, and Burns. Those three are the guys who are the reason why the Brewers are in the situation they're in, winning all of these games. So let's start off with Woodruff, who, his numbers are just amazing. He's given up half a run versus the Cubs in his career, not this season, in his career. In 25 innings he's pitched against the Cubs this season, just this season alone, in 25 innings, he's given up only 2 runs in 25 innings. That's amazing. That's like he is basically dominating the Cubs in this situation this season. Not just his career, but this season as well. Then we get to Hendricks. His numbers also, like, phenomenal against the Brewers. He has a 2.08 ERA versus the Brewers. Obviously, that's 4 times what Woodruff's is. But still, 2 runs, half a run, you're nitpicking at that point. They're both dominant against each other. And in his last 12 innings against the Brewers at home, he's given up a total of 2 runs. So when you look at this, you see the pitching matchup. You see that it's pretty even, in my opinion. I would give the advantage to Woodruff because his numbers are just, like, godly compared to Hendricks. Hendricks is, like, phenomenal, but Woodruff's is even better. But even with that being said, it's too even for this game to be minus 220 for the Brewers. I think lineup, the batting advantage goes to the Brewers, not the Cubs, obviously, because the Cubs, they're not the Cubs that from the earlier on in the season. And bullpen advantage goes to, I guess, the Brewers because they didn't use anyone yesterday. But with all that said, the point of this preview is that don't hammer the Brewers because, for final game of the series, you don't want to be embarrassed. You have your ace for the Cubs out there today, their best pitcher. And in my opinion, it's pretty even. So you shouldn't lean towards any side, really. And if you have the nuts, because I don't, you should pick the Cubs, in my opinion. It's worth it with the price. I think Arun said minus 220 for the Brewers. So the Cubs is like plus 180, right?
Yep.
Plus 180. That's phenomenal. I'll be honest, I'm just previewing this game for everyone because this looks like a game where everyone will hammer the Brewers. Oh, my God, there's no way the Brewers are going to lose. And, yeah, you're not wrong. The Brewers should win this game. I'm not saying that they won't win this game. I'm just saying there's a very, very distinct possibility the Cubs may actually do something here. And that's why we chose to go over this game today.
All right, so the first game preview, I think you said it very well. It is a tricky game. The Brewers did kill the Cubs yesterday, but baseball, anything can happen. So stay tuned for our IG Instagram story. We'll have our final picks there. But moving on, let's go on to our second game of the day. We have the New York Yankees taking on the Chicago White Sox, 7 o'clock Eastern time game. Right now, the Yankees are leading the season series 3-0. The odds for this game, they just updated on me, so 1 second. Okay, right now, the Yankees are underdogs sitting at plus 145 odds on DraftKings, while the White Sox are the favorites, minus 165 on DraftKings. Abhishek, second game of the night, Yankees versus White Sox. Who you got?
This is the complete opposite of the previous game. I completely am Romeo Juliet love over the White Sox here today. Let's go over this. The Yankees, Andrew Heaney, this man has been awful since he became a Yankee. He was awful as an Angel, but his 2 starts as a Yankee, he's given up 8 runs in 10 innings as a Yankee. And he did that against Baltimore, one of the 4 worst teams in baseball, and against Seattle, who may be the worst offensive team in baseball, with the Mets. So he gave up 8 runs, 4 runs per start against the Baltimore Orioles at home and the Seattle Mariners at home. He go on the road today. He go on the road. The Yankees, they were winning. They were winning. They had a little streak going where they beat the Orioles, they beat Seattle, but then they went on the road against the Royals and they won, but they didn't win convincingly enough to think the Yankees are back. The Yankees lost Anthony Rizzo to COVID. He's on the COVID list, so they don't have him, and he was absolutely fantastic for them. Gleyber Torres, he's also on the COVID list. He's out. I think he's either on the COVID list or he's injured. All I know is he's not playing today. And they used their bullpen a lot yesterday. Chad Green likely won't play in this game because he had over 30 pitches yesterday. A couple other guys were used a lot. So then we get over to the White Sox. Lance Lynn was supposed to pitch yesterday, but what they did was they scratched him because Carlos Rodon, one of their best pitchers, who was supposed to pitch this game, he got hurt. So what they said was, listen, we don't care about this game today against the Twins. Who cares? We're going to win this division anyways. You know what, Lance Lynn? Tomorrow is a marquee game, which is today. We'll push you back a day. You take an extra day of rest. We'll put somebody else out there today. They lost 1-0 yesterday to the Twins. No biggie for them. It doesn't matter. But Lance Lynn, their best pitcher, the most consistent guy, he's starting for them today. And what can you say? He may be the best pitcher in the American League this season because in his last 6 starts, 5 out of 6 starts, he's given up 1 run only. That's it. He's given up 1 run only. He's consistent. He's been dominant. You can't hit him really. And when you do hit him, you're not going to do that much damage. The Yankees, they are just awful right now offensively. They've been winning because of their pitching and timely hitting. They don't have Rizzo. They don't have Torres. The White Sox against lefties, Andrew Heaney is a lefty. They're 20-11 against lefties. They rested at least 4 of their starters yesterday. So the White Sox are going to come out ready to go. This is a marquee matchup. You're playing the Yankees. I don't care if the Yankees are 0-100. They're the Yankees. The White Sox, they got swept against the Yankees earlier on this season. They probably remember that. They definitely remember that this team swept us when we went to their crib. They're coming to our crib. 7 o'clock primetime game. It's not the playoffs. Doesn't mean shit, but it's a marquee matchup against a marquee team. I feel minus 160. That is amazing. It's not like crazy value, but it's not too much of a favorite. This should be a much heavier line, but I love the White Sox today.
All right, so we're for the second game going to be riding Lance Lynn and the White Sox. In the last game of the night, we are going to be previewing the Colorado Rockies taking on the San Francisco Giants. Right now, the Giants are leading the season series 6-3. The Colorado Rockies, underdogs, plus 160 odds on DraftKings. San Francisco Giants, favorites, minus 190 on DraftKings. Last game that we'll be previewing for tonight, Abhishek. Rockies versus Giants. Who you got, man?
This is the biggest Jekyll and Hyde team I've ever seen. The Rockies. This is insane. At home, this team is 38-21. That is amazing. At home. They have one of the best home records in baseball. Like, just compared to the Giants are 37-17. Yeah, they have 4 less losses. But in terms of wins, the Rockies and Giants have almost identical home win records. You get to the road on this team is 13-42 on the road. Now let's get to just recent play to sum this team up. This team at home recently against the Miami Marlins, nothing crazy. The Miami Marlins aren't a great team, but their pitching is usually solid most of the time. They lose usually close games. At home, the Rockies scored 14 runs, won that game. Then they come back, score 7 runs, win that game, and then they play Miami again at home and they score 13 runs and win that game. That's what you call like out of worldly offense. They go on the road for 2 games, just 2 games. They go on the road right after that. They play Houston, which is a great team, but we've went over this. Houston against weaker teams, they don't play so well. But what happened against Houston? They scored 0 runs in the first game. They lose 0-5. And then the game they played most recently, they play Houston again, and they score 1 run and lose 1-5. I've never seen this before. this team on the road is just somebody else. At home, there's somebody else. I understand that the ballpark they play in is the most unique ballpark in baseball, but for you to be this much of a different team, it's just like out of character in my opinion, especially in the sport of baseball. It is what it is. Now let's get to today. Herman Marquez, he has been their best pitcher this whole season. He's one of the most underrated pitchers in baseball, in my opinion. He has been fantastic this season. But against the Giants, he has not been fantastic, especially this season. He started against the Giants 3 times this season. This is a division matchup. That's why they play so many games. He's given up 3 runs, 4 runs, 8 runs. His last start against the Giants, he didn't even make it out of 1 inning. He gave up 8 runs in 1 inning. He didn't even finish the inning. That's how bad he was against the Giants last time. At home, which is where this team is dominant. And then we get to Logan Webb, who people may not know who he is, but you should pay attention because this man has just been, in his last 7 starts, whole season basically, this man has just been a gem, a hidden gem. I don't know where they found this dude from, but this dude has just been phenomenal for them. He's been dominant in his last 7 starts. He hasn't given up more than 2 runs in any of those 7 starts, and he's not playing no cakewalk schedule. He played the Dodgers at the Dodgers, gave up 2 runs, 1 earned, won that game. He played against the Dodgers again, gave up 2 runs. Then he played the Dodgers a 3rd time at home. This is 2 weeks ago. He gave up 1 run, won that game in 6 innings. Then he played the Houston Astros, gave up 2 runs, won that game. And then most recently, he went to Milwaukee, at Milwaukee, gave up 1 run. These are all playoff teams, all teams with 60-plus wins right now. With how the Rockies play on the road, mixed in with a couple injuries that they've been dealing with Herman Marquez's struggles against the Giants, you got to take the Giants here.
All right, guys. So the last game of the night, we're going to be leaning towards the Giants. Like we preached before, tune into the Instagram page for the final picks and the final say. With that being said, that wraps it up for today's episode. Hope you guys have a lovely Thursday and happy gambling. Peace out.